If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to become part of this community. So y'all have probably heard of this whole situation surrounding Lil Uzi Vert and his ex-girlfriend Brittany Byrd, because there's just been headlines everywhere. There were like headlines of Uzi getting into a fight with SAINt JHN and they're fighting over his ex-girlfriend and all that. And I usually like to wait to make these videos or to report on this because I always see new evidence getting picked up a couple of days after it's first reported. That was the case for the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion whole situation and beef, even though that's a whole nother situation because that is still going on apparently. I made a video about that a couple of days ago, but today we got some new information on this whole Lil Uzi thing. So let's go over this. I picked up on this article on XXL, which I thought collected it pretty well, so let's read through it and I'll give my thoughts on this. So it says, new information has come out about what allegedly happened during a recent altercation between Lil Uzi Vert, SAINt JHN, and Uzi's former girlfriend Brittany Byrd in West Hollywood, California last week. Speaking exclusively with the Shade Room in an article published on July 2nd, Brittany's manager, Brianna, whose last name was not reported, says Uzi assaulted her client during a rage fit, leaving Byrd hospitalized. Brianna claims Byrd was having a lunch meeting with John and director James Samuel at the Dialogue Cafe in West Hollywood near Sunset Boulevard around 12 p.m. on Friday, July 2nd, when Uzi pulled up in a Cadillac SUV and confronted Byrd. The Philly rapper then allegedly punched Byrd in the face multiple times and pointed a gun at her chest before fleeing the scene, according to Brianna. SAINt JHN was not involved in the tussle as previously believed. Now, the first thing that kind of seemed weird to me is that this girl had a manager, because when I googled her, she wasn't really like a big personality, so why would she have a manager that's speaking for her? I of course knew her when Uzi was dating her back then, or like I know her from that angle, but not really that she was such a big personality that she needed a manager. But that's besides the point. We now also know that SAINt JHN was not really involved in this. It was rather just an altercation between Uzi and her. So that kind of explains a lot more that SAINt JHN is not in here and there's like no beef between SAINt JHN and Lil Uzi. The article then goes on to further explain the relationship between Brittany Byrd and SAINt JHN, saying Byrd and JHN have a strictly working relationship, says Brianna, despite the rumors that were sparked about the two possibly dating when they were spotted together in Los Angeles back in March. Brittany has been trying to focus on her life and career, Brianna tells the Shade Room. Uzi has been stalking Brittany since they broke up. Uzi is toxic and mentally and physically abusive. He has been for years. At this point, we're getting into just accusations being thrown around. I'm not sure if this is completely true. They, of course, have a very biased view on this, that Uzi is physically and mentally abusive. But if it's true that he's been stalking her since they broke up, which I do not believe, Uzi seems really happy with JT from the City Girls, so I don't think he's been stalking his ex for years now. That kind of seems very shady to me. I'm not sure if this is really true. That just seems like an attempt to throw some allegations toward Uzi that might not even be true, so I'll take that with a grain of salt. But apparently he did really, pull up on them and pull a gun, which the article then goes on to further explain, saying, as previously reported, the incident was initially called an altercation between Uzi and JHN. Uzi reportedly confronted JHN and threw a punch at him at the cafe. Reports said witnesses saw Uzi flash a gun handle, which led to chaos. Both men reportedly left before the police arrived on the scene. New details later emerged that revealed Byrd was at the scene too, and had a gun pressed to her stomach by the Eternal to Take rapper. Following the incident, she was taken to a local hospital. She has reportedly filed a police report. This is why I wanted to wait to make a video on this, because initially we really thought this was just an altercation between SAINt JHN and Lil Uzi, but now we know that JHN is kind of just an outside person, that maybe he was involved in this. The article says that Uzi threw punches at him, which I'm not sure if that's true. I know there are witnesses that say so, But apparently this is all between Uzi and Brittany Byrd, his ex-girlfriend. Now, first, right off the bat, my first reaction to this, to reading this, was like, Uzi does seem a bit petty in this one. If he got to pull up on his girl or like on his ex-girl just because she's working with some other dude now who, they say that they're just have a strictly working relationship, to punch this dude and then pull a gun, that just doesn't seem very professional. That just doesn't seem very mature. But also, and this is the same way that it was with the Tory Lanez situation, where, of course, objectively, it seemed very not cool, for Tory to shoot Megan. That's no debate. That would lead to him losing all respect in my eyes instantly. But in this case, Uzi is being painted as the villain. And to this day, we don't really know what happened with the Tory Lanez Megan Thee Stallion situation. And Tory was always portrayed as the villain, which might even not end up being true. So I don't want to take this report word by word exactly just yet. I think Uzi is definitely being painted as I said, the villain here. There's a lot of, statements in here that go against him that are not really, contradicted by a different side, a different angle. So when Uzi speaks out against that, I think that will be an interesting moment when we get another perspective on this. But for right now, I would take this with a grain of salt. I did want to report on this anyway because it was just a big thing happening in hip-hop, or at least, in the whole drama scene, which I don't like to get involved in usually, but when it's these big things that happen, then I gotta speak on them because it shows a lot about how these rappers behave in real life, and that kind of contradicts how they portray themselves in their music. Even though in Uzi's case that's not really the case, but still, I think it's interesting to see what these rappers are doing in their private lives and then how they portray themselves or their life in their music. So if this is true, very petty, very toxic move from Uzi. I do not support that. That would lose a lot of respect from him. I thought he had really arrived at a good point in his life with JT, focusing a lot on her, on his relationship with her, which is very mature, very healthy. But if this is true, then that's a very toxic behavior that will definitely influence his future relationship with JT and his career as well. So that's kind of my thoughts on this. Let's take this with a grain of salt. I kind of compare this to the Megan Tory situation, as I said, and I hope that I can kind of, give you some, information on this and maybe get you to think about this twice before just coming to a conclusion. But anyway, that's what I think about this. Now I want to know what you think about this. Do you think Brittany Byrd or Uzi are right? What do you think SAINt JHN has to do with this? If this is true, what, does that change the way you think of Uzi? Does that change in any way, positively, negatively, whatever? That would really be interesting to see what y'all think. Let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media and blog down in the description. It really helps me out. Until the next one, y'all have an incredible day, and y'all take care.